Okay, we've got a new president. Does that mean TikTok is going to get banned or not? Stay tuned to find out.
Welcome to the WorkHARDAholic Show with your host, the original WorkHARDAholic, Shirley Crawford, author, speaker, and small business consultant for over 20 years, helping you to work hard, play harder, and business better.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to the WorkHARDAholic Show. I am Shirley Crawford, your host, and today, I've been surveying you all. I've been asking questions. I've been trying to get information because I'm trying to figure out where you all are right now, right? We've just had a new election. There's so many things that are happening. Yes, this TikTok ban is potentially out there, but also having lots of conversations with you all about, is it worth it being an entrepreneur? So first things first, I want to talk a little bit about the benefits, or I should say the whys that one becomes an entrepreneur, right? We'll start there. We'll talk a little bit about the cons. We'll even talk about how to mitigate risk, since that's the biggest concern that most of you have when it comes to being an entrepreneur. And then we're going to get back to this TikTok drama. Okay. So first things first, I always think it's super obvious about why it's such a benefit to be an entrepreneur, but I was raised to be one, right? I was born into an entrepreneurial family. Well, you all have heard my story before. Didn't get an allowance, got a little mini paycheck, right? Because we worked. We helped in our family's mini construction company, because most of it was painting, little repairs, or, handyman stuff on the next level, maybe the roof or floors or whatever else. That's how we got our money. That's what I know. So I have never fully trusted or relied upon the government or a large corporation to bring in my dollars. I've always expected that I was supposed to do it for myself. Don't get me wrong. Gotta love the company paychecks. Gotta love the consistency. But we'll get back to that. So when we talk about some of the reasons why people become entrepreneurs, right? Let's be honest. You go into your workplace, you do your 9 to 5, and there's a commercial. See, I love marketing. There's a commercial out right now. And what happens is the boss comes to the employee like right at 5 o'clock, asking them to do some long task, right? And so she goes off and tells her all about some little software that she can use. It's clearly an ad, but this is something that actually happens all the time. Your time is not your time when it belongs to a company. Yes, I'll say it again. As I always say, employment is legalized prostitution. It just is. Someone else owns you. You have to get permission to go to the doctor. You have to get permission if you're sick at home about to lose an internal organ. You still have to get permission to be at home and be sick. You have to have permission to take your kid for the annual field trip with their school. You have to have permission to go to the bathroom in some of your jobs. Okay, that's not where we started. We're talking about the whys. That's just leading up into it, right? So control. Control is the number one reason that entrepreneurs become entrepreneurs. I just finished talking about some of the examples of why that's so significant. But also when you're in a workplace where your thoughts and opinions aren't necessarily valued, and so you see the better way because you're the one doing the job, but you don't have the control to make the deciding factor to make the decision. You don't have that control. That's one of the main reasons that entrepreneurs are like, that's it. I'm going out on my own. I'm doing my own thing. I'm hanging up my own shingle, right? The second reason is creativity. For those of you who are in one of those lovely dead-end 9 to 5s, where you feel like your soul is leaking out of your body with every passing minute, it's often because you're a creative person and you're looking for a creative outlet and your job isn't giving it to you. So that's one of the second reasons that people try to, think about becoming an entrepreneur. The third reason, flexibility. I'll tell you all now. Even when I worked for other people, because it was always a temporary thing, I don't do Fridays. Some people don't do Windows. I don't do Fridays. And so people always ask me, how'd you get away with that? Well, when you know your value, know your worth, when you know what you're offering, then you make those deals. Like when I go in for an interview, I don't go in for interviews anymore, but when I did, I would have that conversation about, hey, I need to know how you're evaluating me. Are you evaluating me for my 8 hours or for what I get done in whatever amount of time? So people say, oh, they just want you to get it done. But no, really, there are managers, companies, they feel very uncomfortable with the fact that you've completed all the tasks that were assigned to you and you still have 3 hours left in the day. And they would rather string you along with some, silly little work just so they can say that you were busy. Okay? So, yeah, that flexibility is a big thing. Independence. As the song goes, I am independent, right? We're looking for that, to be able to know that regardless of what happens with the boss man or so-and-so, you still have your, I want to say the word, and right now it's not coming to me, autonomy. Thank you. Thank you, English teachers, for all of the instructions you've given to me over the years. The ability to be individual in and of yourself and not have to depend on everyone else. Keeping in mind with independence means that's your mistake. You have to go by it. But it also means it's not your boss's mistake that you have to go rolling under the bus for. Okay? One of my favorite reasons why entrepreneurs, why we become what we are, is the legacy. You're building something that is going to be, hopefully, if you've been watching the show and following the instructions that we're sharing and doing all the tools, you're building something that's going to last a lifetime, and if done right, could last until the next lifetime. So when you're building a legacy, here is a way for you to leave something for your children and your children's children, or for your community. All right? Okay. So I'm going to go through very quickly the last couple of ones that we have here. You want to make an impact? Entrepreneurship is a great way to do that. Look at all these social entrepreneurs, all these social businesses, right, that we have going on right now. I think about the socks where you buy a pair, they give a pair away, and still they're sustainable as a business. But you can actually have making an impact as part of your business model. Another, your ability to pursue your own ideas. Like you sit there in that sweatbox, you're doing it all day long, and these wonderful ideas are coming to mind. You can take one of those and start your own business. Okay? And of course, two of my favorites, an opportunity to change the world. Okay? And freedom of purpose. To be free to do exactly what you know you're supposed to be doing with your life so that you can make the accomplishments, make the impact, and have money in the bank. All right. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of those negative downsides of being an entrepreneur right after this commercial break.
Life can be a struggle. Find hope, healing, and answers at the Abundant Life Church of Christ, a place to encounter God through uplifting worship, singing, prayer, the preach word, and fellowship. One step can change your life. One step could shift your destiny. There has never been a better time to take that step than now. Come be our guest every Sunday at 10 a.m. at the Abundant Life Church of Christ, a place where you belong.
Listen, Attorney Alex Taylor is a soldier in a suit, defending anyone with criminal charges, DUIs, and more. Call Alex Taylor, your soldier in a suit, at 804-500-5000.
I'm Alex Taylor. Don't face your criminal charges alone. Put a former prosecutor with 30 years of experience on your side. Let me show you how a soldier fights for your freedom.
Call 804-500-5000 or go to alextaylorlaw.com.
At Richmond Dentistry for Children, Dr. Randy Adams and Dr. Brandon Allen are crazy about your kids and their teeth.
With compassionate care, our professional staff treats your kids like they were our own.
Call us today to make an appointment at 804-780-2888 or check us out on the web at richmonddentistryforchildren.com. Let Richmond Dentistry for Children take care of your kids' teeth today for a healthy tomorrow.
Looking for resources to start, build, or level up your business? Want to know what motivates your favorite entrepreneur? Did you miss the last show? No worries. Check out and subscribe to the WorkHARDAholic YouTube channel. See behind the scenes. Hear the extended version of interviews. Catch one of our trainings. Miss the show? No worries. Like, share, subscribe our YouTube channel at WorkHARDAholic, and happy entrepreneuring. Welcome back. Okay, so we've been talking about some of the benefits, some of the reasons why we start our businesses, why some of us are actually highly unemployable because we enjoy the benefits of being an entrepreneur so much. But for some of you, especially those of you who've been working corporate jobs, it's a lot to switch from working for the government, working a corporate job, and then going out on your own. So let's talk realistically. It's not all Pollyanna, right? Let's talk realistically about some of the cons of being an entrepreneur. First things first, you are now responsible for everything. Everything. This past week, I had a whole scenario of something that's happening. It's highly stressful with my company. And technically, the work was done by someone else doing work for me. But in the end, your clients don't care. They don't want to hear that. The buck stops with you. And it could literally be that buck stopping with you and you never see it again, right? So one of the cons of having your own is that you are officially the beginning, the end, the middle. It's all about you, which is why you have to have a good team, which is why you have to make sure all your processes, your policies are in place, that you're covered legally. You have to do all the things because all the things rely on you. On that note, the second reason is because there is financial risk. To start a business, while there are some businesses that you can start and pay very little, right? So if you're doing a t-shirt company, yes, you can go to Teespring or Printify or whomever else, and you can go there and set up your designs and people can buy it. But even with that, right? So if something happens with the ink, I always talk about ink from China. I don't know why I'm obsessed with it, right? Maybe because that red dye situation they had with China. That might be why it sticks in my head. So you get these shirts made, you don't even touch them, but they're your designs and they're coming through you, white label. If you don't know what white label is, tell me that you don't know that and we'll talk about it another time. And so happens the ink causes a rash or a virus or some kind of breakout and you get sued. The bottom line is all the risks come back to you. Risk is a big thing as an entrepreneur and we should never pretend to deny it. There's all kinds of risk. And at the end of the day, the risk comes back to you, the owner. So we've talked before about limiting the risk as far as, LLC or S Corp, C Corp, making sure you have the right insurance. We're not getting into all that right now. If you've missed those episodes, you can probably catch them somewhere on YouTube. But if not, send me a message and we'll include it into a next show. All right. Number three is so very real. Being an entrepreneur can be extremely stressful. So if you're one of those people that you can't survive on less than 12 hours of sleep, entrepreneurship might not be for you unless your business is about watching you sleep. Here is the deal. There's so much that's going on. You are now responsible for the livelihood of other people. So you're responsible for your product, your service, your client satisfaction. And a lot of us, what we're providing our clients is actually really important. So now you have to go, okay, did I give them what they need? Did I do all they needed? So there's what you offer that can be partially stressful. One of the big stressors is actually having a team. And so a lot of us are going, well, in order to scale, in order to grow, it can't just be you. It's a fact. There is no way that your company can be a company of one and you can scale to be $1 million company. It's not even possible. We won't even pretend that it is. But that means you have to have a team. That team can be contractors. They could be part-time employees, full-time employees. It might even be affiliates, relationships that you have. But here's the deal. That means that there are more things for you to be responsible for. Every connection that you now have means that's adding on to your risk because somebody you contracted decided to curse out your client. One of your employees decided to wear your shirt and then go out and, I don't know, do something crazy in the community. That got recorded. That became a viral video. And now every time someone sees it, they see your logo. These are things we can stress about. Sometimes you're doing something and you think you're doing a good thing and it's not received well. And next thing you know, you have a social media negative campaign going on. All of this can be super stressful, let alone to think about the money. Most small businesses go out of business within the first 3 years because of money. And sometimes, we talked about this before, so I'm not going to get heavily into that today. If you want it again, let me know. We can always review. But we've talked about how not having liquidity with regard to your money, not being able to access your money when you need it, even though on paper you have lots of money, can close your business doors, can shutter your doors. All right. Number 4, one of the problems can be, especially when you're starting out, you need to have a professional network. So it doesn't help you to know your aunt and the lady from church and the neighbor down the street if they don't have any business affiliation, any business association, any business knowledge. You need to have a network that can help you expand your business, that can get the word out about you, that can potentially provide financing and funding if you need it, that can help you with marketing, that can help you with the various aspects of doing a business. And sometimes it just helps to have another CEO, another business owner, another up and coming entrepreneur who can actually say, hey, you don't want to go that route. Oh, have you gotten these certifications? Have you done this? Those lovely conversations can be free and so easy to have if you have the network, but you have to build that network. So you might either have to potentially pay to be a part of a chamber or luck up and find a mentor at an organization like the SBDC or SCORE or working with someone like me. But that requires building. If you don't have it, it could take you years to do what someone else might be able to do in months. So that could be a con. It could be a downfall. You have to know also that 9 to 5 no longer exists. When you own the business, you might start at 3 and end at midnight. And I mean 3 a.m. I don't mean 3 p.m. I've had many a 3 a.m. morning working on projects. All right. So the thing about it is you have control of your time, but the demands on your time are so much greater. So you might work Saturday, Sunday. I still don't work Friday, but you might be in there doing all kinds of things. You might not be able to go to that trip with the family. You might not be able to because your time and your time commitment is what it is. Okay. The last one is you have to also know that when you're starting a business, you're not the only person with that idea. I love when people try to hand me an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. And they're like, oh, I want you to consult with me, but I need you to sign an agreement. Just so you know, I don't sign them. And here is why. Tons of people have the same idea. They do. It's very rare that you're doing something that's trademarkable or copyrightable. It's very rare. And if you are, it's because, like, when we think about the fidget spinner, the reason that they were able to get, that company was able to get that trademark is because the person who had it first didn't renew it. It's not that it was a brand new idea for them. Someone else didn't do the steps that needed to be done to maintain their trademark, and therefore they lost out on the dollars. All right, so we talked about pros of starting a business, cons of starting a business, and now, I need to make sure I tell you about TikTok. But after this commercial break, I want to talk to you a little bit first about how to mitigate some of the risk. So we talked about some of those cons. I want to talk to you just for a little bit about how you can do some things to offset the hardships of being an entrepreneur right after this commercial break.
Listen, attorney Alex Taylor is a soldier in a suit, defending anyone with criminal charges, DUIs, and more. Call Alex Taylor, your soldier in a suit, at 804-500-5000.
I'm Alex Taylor. Don't face your criminal charges alone. Put a former prosecutor with 30 years of experience on your side. Let me show you how a soldier fights for your freedom.
Call 804-500-5000 or go to alextaylorlaw.com.
Hello. This is Shirley Crawford, the WorkHARDAholic and your favorite small business consulting, bringing to you the Entrepreneur Exchange. There are 3 levels to this. On the first level, you receive a weekly Q&A session and a monthly seminar, all for just $29 a month. Our Plus level receives that. In addition to that, it receives our library. It's called the Vault. Videos, resources, information that you can utilize for your business. And then for our VIP, you get all of that, and you also get small group coaching. And that's for $199 a month. So that's $29, $59, $199 a month, and it can all be yours. If you're interested and you're ready to make the next move to make the real difference in your life, just email me, Shirley at WorkHARDaholics.com.
At Richmond Dentistry for Children, Dr. Randy Adams and Dr. Brandon Allen are crazy about your kids and their teeth.
With compassionate care, our professional staff treats your kids like they were our own.
Call us today to make an appointment at 804-780-2888 or check us out on the web at richmonddentistryforchildren.com. Let Richmond Dentistry for Children take care of your kids' teeth today for a healthy tomorrow.
Hello again. Okay, so we've talked about pros and cons of entrepreneurship, but for a lot of you, especially if you haven't been in business, like some of us were born with the risk gene, right? We're just ready to go out and try it and see what happens. But for those of you who aren't, you're very wise. Let's start there. It's very wise. You're not wrong to want to make sure that things are laid out, that there's some structure, that you don't have to go out here and lose your house and have a second mortgage. You want to have a plan. So the first thing that you want to do when you are even thinking about starting the business, it's time to do some research. There are certain things you can discover and know right from the beginning. So one of the things that I love about the fact that when we're doing like that first initial consultation, we get a chance to talk about your business idea. And is it really a business or is it a hobby? So I've talked about that before. I'm not going to get all into it, but industry research is a great place to start. So I'll use an example we've talked about before. If you're thinking about starting a froyo, company, right? So here's the thing. There was industry research would tell you, you might not want to. That's really what it's going to tell you. Right now is not the best time for froyo. One, we're going into winter, but outside of that, the market has been saturated. And so the bubble has actually burst. So for a while, and this is the thing about industry research, you can find out the trends within your industry and you can see, is it a good time to buy? Is it a good time to sell? Like what's happening, right? So when it comes to froyo, frozen yogurt, that's what froyo is. So, leave out the question marks. And so what happened is there was a time period where it was super popular. Like every mom and pop, every stat showed that you made money and good money by doing frozen yogurt. But think about it. It's not made of all that much. We got some milk alternatives, some cream that's still going in the milk factor, some type of like flavoring added to it. And then they had like a whole topping bar, everything from gummy bears to waffle cones or whatever else. The ingredients were not that expensive. Once you bought the equipment, and then most of them were self-serve. You didn't even require having a lot of staff. You needed a space, you needed the equipment, and you need to buy the little accessories for making it. So it's understandable why it made such good money. But it got to the point where there was a frozen yogurt store next to a frozen yogurt store. So as you can imagine, the bubble burst. But that's the whole reason of being able to have the industry research to know what's going on in your industry and to know if it's really a good industry to get into or not even close, right? Okay, so another thing that you want to be able to do is consult with the people who know what they're doing. So I do love. So as a small business consultant, I do love it when someone comes to me for a consulting session and they're like, I'm not sure what I want to do. So I think I'm going to become a consultant. Not going to lie, super insulting for those of us who went to school for it and studied and did all these wonderful things. But that's what happens. So it's like that old adage, which is not accurate. Those who can't do teach. Don't believe it. I think teachers are amazing. But it's one of those fields that's a little easier to get into than others. It just is. If you have a 4-year degree, you can become a substitute teacher. And then you can take your, licensure or your certificates to become a full-time teacher. But it doesn't make it your passion. And that should be one of the things we're looking for when we're trying to work with other people. And this is why consultations help you. So like one of the things I talk about when people come to me and they're talking about, I want to do this, I want to do that. I'm like, have you talked to so-and-so? Like I give this vetted list of experts who can help you with your finances, with your marketing, with your next plan, maybe the next connection that you need to make. And so it's worth the investment to make sure that you're dealing with an expert. One of the reasons why I'm so serious about consultations and helping people, it started because I kept coming across these people and they would be like, I just started a business and I spent $10,000. And I'm going, on what? Like, what do you spend? If you don't have a brick and mortar, if you don't have like the froyo equipment, if you're not doing any of those things, like you need a massive 3D printer, why are you spending so much money straight out of the gate? They went to one of those conferences. I know we said we need to network, but they went to one of those conferences and they were told they needed this $5,000 website that they don't know how to use. They don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to benefit from it. It has far too many bells and whistles that they'll never use in their lives. It's like getting a new iPhone that no one has, and you haven't gone through the videos to figure out what all the settings are about. And so these people are, getting second mortgages on their home and they're taking money out of their 401k. And I'm going, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this. Stop the madness. These are the things that you can learn immediately so that you don't have these problems by speaking to an expert, right? Okay. The other thing is you want to actually take time to notice the historical analysis. Like before, I was talking about that industry research. So if you belong to one of these organizations that are industry-based, like there are all kinds of affiliations you can have. There are ones for HR, there are ones for marketing. And so they're already doing the industry research, and you can just pay your money and they're going to tell you, hey, these are the trends. These are the laws that are coming out this year. They're going to have impact on you. They're going to tell you all this wonderful information. And hopefully they're going to have some historical analysis for you. So I was just talking about frozen yogurt. I always say, free advice. If I were a serial entrepreneur who went into a business to make money rather than going by my passion point, I would do tea, right? Coffee, maybe. Tea, definitely. Do you know how inexpensive tea leaves are? Unless you're getting the nasty kind that I don't even want to talk about. For the most part, tea leaves are so inexpensive. And think about that. And then you go buy, so they spent 10 cents on it and you spent $10 to get that cup of tea. Not to say tea doesn't have benefits, but the markup is amazing. And that's why you can go to the grocery store and buy a pack for $7. But then you can go to, and then buy that same for 1 cup and have spent the same amount of money. Just saying, great field, okay? But that's a good reason to know the historical analysis, right? Tea industry very rarely goes down. Very rarely, because the markup is so amazing. Competition can be a thing, right? But that's the kind of thing you want to check out for. Okay, so doing those 3 things, it'll help you figure out what you should be looking at with regards to the potential risk in your industry, okay? Now, once you've done that, you've got an idea of what the potential risk is. Now you can figure out, well, how can I mitigate that? Okay, so I'll give an example. I talked about frozen yogurt. I'll stick with that. In the summer, you would imagine that's the busiest season for frozen yogurt. Do you think winter is as busy? No. So what that means for you as a business owner, like there is an amazing ice cream place out in New Kent County. They're closed for the winter. Period. The end. They know that they make most of their money in the summer. They do okay. It starts to pick up in the spring. Fall is okay, but summer is really their time. So then they make sure that they have budgeted their books, that they can make all the money they need between the spring and the fall, and then they can be off for the winter. But they're also cutting costs because they don't have to deal with maintenance on the machines. You kind of have to always check on, but they can reboot that when they come back. That's less electricity, less water, less gas, like all of that stuff. And in their case, they own the facility that they're located in, and it's not that big. And so, but because they don't have any of those outgoing expenses, and so they're saving money, and they made all the money they were going to make really already, it's an amazing way to look at it. So that's one way to mitigate your risk. Now, if you're going, oh, I'll give an example, one more. So I'm small business consulting. Ironically enough, my busiest season is normally near the beginning of the year, because people are like, oh, I've made a commitment. I'm gonna start a business. I'm going to, thank you, a resolution. It was not coming to me. I had to get help from Nicolette over there. Thanks, Nicolette. New Year's resolutions, right? That's why gyms make the most money at the beginning of the year. For consultants, we make the most money at the beginning of the year. We have some other, but there's seasonality. So since we know that, then we're looking at how much we need for the year. And then we're saying, okay, well, between January and March, I make this much. Through the summer, I make this much. Then how much do I need to either save, invest? How much do I need to have set aside so that I can make it through the year and I'm not suffering in October because the money is not coming in, right? I've already put the money aside to pay for the rent, the mortgage, the car payments, whatever else is necessary, okay? The other thing you want to do is develop a risk matrix, which I love the idea, right? So you have the categories of the likely, like, what's the worst thing that can happen? That's really what a risk matrix is. You think to yourself, what's the worst thing that can happen and what categories are there in? And then you go, what's the most likely to occur? So I'm in Virginia. We don't expect to have sinkholes, but they could happen. So I can think about natural disasters. But I'm in Virginia. At least once a year, the winds blow entirely too hard and knock the electricity out in various areas. So how do I mitigate that risk? All right. So as a business owner, I can figure out ways to make sure my technology isn't going off during the things that I'm doing, right? But if I know that I'm in a high risk area, then I want to have the insurance. If you're in Florida, there are certain things they want to insure for you. So then what are you doing? What are you doing to protect your data? All right. How are you backing up all that information? So there's physical potential losses. There are data, technology losses. There are people losses. So if you're the main employee, you're the owner and the main employee, what happens? I don't want to say when you get hit by a bus. That's what they teach us in business school. I don't want to say that. That's terrible. Let's say you're down because you got a really nasty case of pneumonia. You're going to survive, but you're down. What happens to your business? So if you really think about the worst case scenarios, what's the worst thing that can happen? And then you figure out, okay, what's my solution to those things? How can I mitigate that risk? It really doesn't make it so much easier for you to handle whatever situation comes your way. And oh my goodness, I'm really about over on time. I just want to share a quick thing about TikTok. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a whole separate video. I'm going to post it online about TikTok. Go to the YouTube channel for WorkHARDaholics and you can see it. But the basic thing is, I'll tell you the basics. So we know that President Biden, who only has a little while longer in office, initially signed the bill to ban TikTok back in April, right? And so we thought TikTok would be gone by now. But here's the thing. TikTok sued the U.S. On freedom of speech, right to share information, etc. Thus far, it's presently in front of a D.C. court. And so we're still waiting. But it looks like if things keep going the way they're going, it could potentially be banned January of 2025, which is really, really soon. And so, but here's the thing, TikTok isn't losing any money. As a matter of fact, they've grown because of the drama. Sometimes negative advertising and negative marketing really does work for a business. And so they made more money than Meta in the last cycle based off of all the drama that's going on. And so people are wondering exactly what they're going to do. So the U.S. isn't the only country that's concerned about TikTok. Canada's concerned as well. And so they've been doing things to mitigate their risk with regards to TikTok. Because TikTok is based in China, it's owned by ByteDance is the name of the company. We know that they're not a democracy. And so the government can actually require TikTok to give it information. And that's the real concern. It's not because they care that you're making a 30-second dance video. No one cares. But a lot of you are showing a lot of private and personal things about your life and exposing yourselves to a lot of information data breaches. And so the government is concerned that those could leak and cause all kinds of problems. And apparently there are lots of governments who agree. At present, the bottom line of what you need to know, because it's time for us to go. Our president-elect, Donald Trump, has already stated in the past that he is against the ban. So we're going to see how this all shakes down because it still has to go through the courts. And the courts can say ban or not ban. Well, then we're going to see if they say yes, and then if an executive order will have to be put in place. Okay, so that's my TikTok update. Promise we'll share more as we continue on. But as we always say, live better, do better, be better, and happy entrepreneuring. Ta-ta.
Like, share, subscribe, repeat. Like, share, subscribe, repeat. 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 Thanks for tuning in to WorkHARDaholics. Support our show by following on YouTube and all major social media platforms at WorkHARDaholic. Until next week, happy entrepreneuring.